All aboard for the Medicare for the Lazy Man podcast. The Medicare podcast that causes dogs to howl at the moon. And now, counting backwards from 100, it's Medicare expert Doug Jones.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Medicare for the Lazy Man podcast. This is Doug Jones, your Medicare expert, and I'm here to help you feel really confident about your impending encounter with Medicare. Now, it may have already occurred. I just don't know. I can't speak for every member of this vast audience, but I can say that if you have a Medicare encounter coming up in your future, you might be trepidatious about it. A lot of people that I wind up speaking to are very concerned about doing the right thing and avoiding doing the wrong things. Well, it's easy once you know the secret. And that's a quote from Marshall Brodeen, a magician of long-standing career who is now deceased, but he was not only a magician, a sleight of hand artist, but also a salesman of TV magic cards on late night television ads. And he was a member of the cast of Bozo's Circus in Chicago. He played Wizzo. And frankly, you wouldn't have recognized him. The makeup job was so good. Marshall Brodeen said, it's easy once you know the secret. And frankly, Medicare is easy once you know the secret. And you will find the secrets written in just the first few pages of my book, Medicare for the Lazy Man. Now, the current edition is 2026, and you can go to Amazon and get that for yourself. You will type into the search window, Medicare for the Lazy Man, and be sure to type in 2026 so you get the most recent book. And you will then be able to choose between the paperback, the Kindle version, which is a lot less expensive, the Audible version, which is where somebody else does all the work for you. You don't have to turn any pages. You don't have to actually figure out whether the book is upside down. You don't have to do anything but listen and let that knowledge wash over your brain. And then, of course, if you like to show off for your friends and family, you can purchase a $25 hardcover version of Medicare for the Lazy Man. And you can just leave it out on a table where your friends and relatives and visitors to your house will notice it and say, what a beautiful creation. Can I borrow that? And of course, you can say, no, go buy your own. Here's the link to find it. Now, there are a couple of other books in my repertoire that I also wrote for the interested Medicare enrollee to benefit from. One of those is entitled Medicare Drug Plans, a Simple DIY Guide. This is a tutorial that will learn you, as they used to say in the olden days, it will learn you how to use the government website to identify and to enroll in the most beneficial drug plan for you. Now, you got to have one of these drug plans. If you've got Medicare and a Medicare supplement, you want to have a drug plan, even if you don't take any prescription medications. The reason for that is Big Brother is watching you, and Big Brother will eventually catch you if you change your mind a few years down the road. If you say, I'm taking a couple of meds, might as well get a drug plan and defray some of the cost. Well, if Big Brother finds out that you've applied for a drug plan after a period of not having one when you were eligible, then you will get a lifetime late enrollment penalty. By lifetime, I mean you have to pay it every month the rest of your life. Nobody wants that. So get a drug plan when you're first eligible. Often it can be of zero cost, even if you take a few meds. So what you want to do is get my book, Medicare Drug Plans, a Simple DIY Guide, and it will direct you to the government website, which is medicare.gov/plan-compare, and it will walk you through the selection and enrollment process. Finally, The smallest and yet the most powerful book in all of Medicare. 20 pages of tutorial. The rest of it is all fluff. All you need to know about enrolling in Medicare, broken down step by step by step. And once you have this little book in your hands, it's like a pamphlet. It's really not a book, but Amazon insists upon calling it a book, and they insist upon putting it up for sale, and they won't let me provide it for free to any interested party. So therefore, Randy Carson has been kind enough to create a method by which you and anybody else in the whole wide world can get their hands on a copy free of charge. Go to the website that Randy created for me, medicareforthelazyman.com, and scroll down just a little bit and you'll find a link that will allow you to download your free copy of the Medicare Enrollment Guide. Now you can go to Amazon, type in the search window, Medicare Enrollment Guide, and you can pay $5 for the paperback version, $3 for the Kindle version, and of course I'll make like 25 cents on each of those. But I suggest that you go to my website, medicareforthelazyman.com, download your own copy for free, and use it as a tool when you approach Medicare to make sure that you do all of the necessary steps. And there won't be that many, but they're all necessary. Some of them your agent is not allowed to help you with. And so this book makes it very simple to understand what you can do by yourself and then what your agent, me, I hope, will be happy to help you with. Speaking of happy to help, Randy Carson is sitting right across the screen from me. He's always very helpful and usually happy. Not always, but usually. Hello, Randy.
As a general rule, I'm a happy guy.
Yeah, but you've had a few things that are irritating. I remember back in the days when you had cleaning people that showed up at inappropriate times when we were trying to strive for silence.
There was that, and plus my landscapers. It seemed as though they would sit down the street.
Yeah.
All right, Doug and Randy are recording. Let's go start with our weed eaters.
Weed eaters and our blowers, our leaf blowers.
Yeah.
And our other motorized implements. I don't know whether those people don't come to visit you anymore, or whether it's the wonderful filter you've been using. But boy, I'll tell you, when I make all kinds of snorts and giggles and noises, and then I listen back to an episode, I don't hear anything. It sounds so professional. It's almost like we're paying big bucks to have this done.
Well, it's the new, exciting, advanced filters. They do an amazing job. I mean, bottom line is, as you just said, very seldom does anything ever get through that's inappropriate.
Absolutely.
And here's how it does it, in case you ever wanted to know.
I'd like to know.
When you're using these advanced filters, you let the system develop a voice print of your voice. You know, they give you a little paragraph to read, and you read the paragraph, and then it develops a voice print of how you sound and how you speak and all, you know, your pacing and all that good stuff. And then it uses that as a comparison to filter out everything else that doesn't belong.
I don't remember ever being asked to provide a sample.
Well, you could, and you could even sound better.
We don't want to shock the audience. I don't want to raise their expectations too high. Believe me, it's something that would be hard to live up to on a regular basis.
Well, it's in your software if you ever want to know how to do it. But that's exactly how I did it.
Is this a Zoom feature?
Yeah, it's a Zoom feature.
Oh crap! All this time I've been giving you huge props for.
Oh no! I developed all this stuff by hand. I'm a programmer.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, too late for. Geez. Okay. I was expecting that this was people ask me all the time, well, what services does this wonderful company provide you that we don't know about? And that was always right there up there on the list. They devised a filter that makes me sound almost professional. You know, nothing can ever actually complete that job, but I've always given you a lot of credit for that, and it turns out that Zoom provides it, I assume, free of charge. With
it's just part of Zoom, but it reminds me of a statement that one of my customers used to say. he goes, he charged, well, it's a joke, and he goes and he charges this, particular fix. He went into the back room and, turned some knob and flipped some switch and came out, and he goes, well, that'll be $15,000. And the guy goes, well, what'd you do? Oh, I flipped this switch and turned this knob over here. And he goes, that's all you did? Yeah, but I'm not going to pay $15,000 for that. Why, it's not worth it. And he goes, yes, it is, because I knew which ones to turn.
Right. Yep. Yep. That knowledge that you acquired that allowed you to purchase the Zoom package that included that filter is priceless.
Yes, I totally agree with you. But the current version of it is just amazing. And you can even change the settings to make it more sensitive, but it gets to a point of basically a very little gain for a lot of work.
Yeah, that's probably not worth the effort. Does that work involve actually staying awake or?
Well, yeah, that's part of it. You have to stay awake. And some days I have a darn hard time doing that.
Well, it's also the kind of thing that after the early years where every noise made it onto the recording, I would explain to the spousal unit, the content curator, that we have to maintain complete silence. So it would behoove her to just go hide in a back room somewhere, close the door, and I'll come get you in a few hours when we're finished. And that she has never lost that habit. And I say it's good for a marriage. A little separation is helpful occasionally.
Well, you probably didn't know this, but back when we first started this,
What's that?
the filters basically were non-existent.
Right.
So I would go through that entire recording session, and every time you sniffed or snorted or coughed or anything, I would actually blank that out.
Well, that had to be a lot of work because
it took hours.
I am not the quietest guy in the world, and I do what kept me out of the Army. The reason I did not have to go to Vietnam was the sniffing and snorting and everything else. For some reason, I grew up with an overactive nasal production of whatever that stuff is, and it's the kind of thing that I had to have when I was a kid. I had prescription nose drops. And these nose drops were so deadly that they had to be very careful in allowing me to have them. And I would have to put the nose drops in my nose, and then the smoke would come out of my noses. It would cauterize the inside of my nose, and they'd last about 4 hours or so. Well, the last time I had that prescription filled was just after my 13th birthday, and that was a red line for the Army. When they saw that in my medical records, they said, uh-oh, had this been filled at age 12 or earlier for the last time, no problem. We'd snatch this boy up and we'd throw him right into, which I would have hoped would have been helicopter flight school. But they said, we don't even want him. Keep him out of here. And I can see why they wouldn't want a guy in the jungle that's blowing his nose and sneezing a lot.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's a problem.
So,
But yeah, we've had some major technical advancements in our systems here. So
that's allowed you to spend a little more recreational time, I would hope, doing research for the podcast.
That's where I get all these, stump the insurance expert.
Oh my God, maybe this is not progress after all. Maybe we should. How do we get rid of that filter and get you back to working?
No. We once you take a step forward in technology, you can never go back.
Yeah, I expected to hear that. Oh boy. Well, I'm out of quizzes for you, and I'm hoping you're out of quizzes for me.
Yes, we're not gonna have a quiz for you today. I'm gonna just play it straight, and
that's probably a good thing from the audience's perspective. They didn't come here to see me embarrassed. They came here to listen to Medicare knowledge that I share with everybody. And frankly, when I am given a Stump the Insurance Man quiz, it's always kind of embarrassing. So I'm just as happy to skip an episode without that quiz.
Sounds like a plan.
All righty. So are we going to get down to work today?
We are going to try to make a quarter. We have several still in the drawer, but bottom line is we got to keep at it.
Well,
can never give up.
If we whine and complain enough, we know that there are a couple of generous benefactors out there in the
Yes.
audience that will step up to the plate.
I heard the other day that the people that use quarters to do their laundry,
Yeah,
there's a big shortage of quarters out on the East Coast.
really.
Yeah.
There's a punchline in there somewhere, isn't there? It's
Well,
coming my way. Come on.
we have them all.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah, yeah. At least in the Northeast, the quarter supply is dwindling because they're being shipped out west to needy podcasters.
Needy podcasters, you got it. And
Well,
we certainly do appreciate it because I have got them stored away, um, actually in little bags like they originally came in, from the
yeah,
mint.
yeah, yeah. Well, that just reminds me of my favorite line, and I made it up myself every time I go to a store and purchase something, and I'm asked if I want a bag. I say, no, thanks. I'm already married. And I swear that it never gets old and it always gets a laugh.
I totally get it.
All right. Well, let's get down to business, shall we?
Have you got your fancy Dan cube clock?
I've got it ready to go. I'm going to turn the 20 so it points up at the sky.
Is this as accurate as your little green frog clock was?
It's accurate enough for me. Did I have a little green frog clock? I don't really remember that. I had a like a clothespin timer, but
Yeah.
that timed forward. It didn't time backward.
Yeah.
So it would tell me when 20 minutes went by, but I would have to actually look at it. It would never actually have an alarm or anything.
Yes. Yeah. You always have to look at it, but in this case, it beeps at you.
This beeps at me, but you'll never hear the beep because of the fantastic
of the filters. Yeah. So I've got this all figured out.
You're gonna have a fun time doing nothing. I always see the soles of your shoes up on your desk while I'm actually working here, working up a sweat.
You got it.
All righty. Well, I'm going to actually begin the meat and potatoes of the podcast now by sharing Medicare Advantage minute content. And the minute I spend on Medicare Advantage at the beginning of every episode is my way of helping people avoid Medicare Advantage, because Medicare Advantage is really not the best idea for anybody who's enrolling in Medicare. And so today I have an article that I originally tripped over in the Savvy Senior, which is a column written by somebody in Norman, Oklahoma. Just popped up all of a sudden a few years ago. It's all full of lifestyle kind of stuff, but every once in a while he does some Medicare content in there too. So the Savvy Senior had an article entitled 3 Signs That Medicare Advantage Might Be the Wrong Choice for You. I'm surprised there are only 3. While Medicare Advantage offers great perks, it isn't perfect. Here are 3 signs that you should stick with original Medicare. Signing up for Medicare isn't as clear-cut a process as some might think. That's because enrollees have a big decision to make: stick with original Medicare, which is made up of Parts A and B, and pair it with a Part D drug plan. And I might might say that a Medicare supplement is essential to pair your original Medicare Parts A and B with. Or the alternative is sign up for an all-in-one Medicare Advantage plan. As of February 2026, more than 35 million people were enrolled in Medicare Advantage plans, and enrollment in a Medicare Advantage has increased steadily in recent years, while 19% of eligible Medicare beneficiaries signed up in 2007 versus 54% in 2025, according to the Kaiser Family Foundation. It's easy to see why so many people find these plans appealing. Not only do many Medicare Advantage plans come with $0 premiums, but most also offer supplemental benefits beyond what original Medicare covers. Plus, some enrollees like the security of an annual cap on out-of-pocket spending, which Medicare Advantage plans offer. That annual cap, by the way, is much huger than the annual cap you'll find with Medicare plus a Medicare supplement. So keep that in mind. When you hear that Medicare Advantage offers an annual cap, that annual cap is much, much larger than the annual cap you would find on Medicare plus a Medicare supplement. But I digress. Original Medicare does not offer a cap, although a supplement, Medicare, Medigap is the other name for a Medicare supplement, can cap costs to a large degree. That doesn't mean Medicare Advantage plans are perfect, though. Enrollees who ditch Medicare Advantage often cite reasons such as limited provider networks and strict prior authorization rules. Mark Pripp, a Medicare supplement insurance agent at Policy Guide, I don't know what that is, he says, if you've kept up with the headlines over the last year or two, you've seen Medicare Advantage undergo a significant shift. More than 1 million Medicare beneficiaries have been affected by Medicare Advantage plan terminations, consolidations, and service area exits due in part to lower federal reimbursement rates. It's not more than 1 million, it's more than 3 million, as we heard in a recent episode. Pripp also explains that to combat these lower reimbursement rates, many insurance companies have been shrinking provider networks and ending contracts with large hospital systems across the country. Given these and other constraints, there are certain people for whom Medicare Advantage simply may be a poor fit. Here are 3 signs that you may want to stick with original Medicare instead. Sign number 1, you don't have great health. There's a common saying that people in good health tend to do well with Medicare Advantage, while those in poor health tend to lose out financially. There is some truth to that generalization. For someone with multiple or severe health injuries, a Medicare or health issues, a Medicare Advantage plan may prove to be ultimately more expensive than traditional Medicare with a supplement due to the higher copays and the higher maximum out-of-pocket. Just beware of the Medigap trap. These supplemental insurance policies that wrap around original Medicare can be almost impossible to get if you enroll in Medicare Advantage first and then try to switch to Medicare with a Medicare supplement later on. In most cases, you can only sign up for Medigap or Medicare supplement plans without facing medical underwriting during the first 6 months after you become eligible for Medicare. Although state rules do vary, but that's the very widest generalization right there. You get 6 months where you can get any Medicare supplement you want to, and after Part B has started, and after that, you're on your own. You have to prove to each insurance company in almost every state that you are healthy and that you can get through medical underwriting. Another reason you might prefer original Medicare is if you have a chronic illness. Out-of-pocket prescription drug costs under Part D as in Delta are capped at $2,100 annually for 2026. Let's see, another expert says that Medicare Advantage plan maximum out-of-pocket limits matter more than some people realize. If you're managing a serious illness or anticipating frequent medical care, make sure to ask yourself, if I had a year with significant medical expenses, could I comfortably afford to reach that maximum? Because Medicare Advantage plans have a very high maximum, ranging between $9,600 and $14,000 a year. That was me throwing in those numbers. On the other hand, this expert pointed out that Medicare Advantage plans aren't automatically the wrong choice just because somebody has health problems. They can be an excellent idea for many people, especially those with certain health conditions or life situations who qualify for both Medicare and Medicaid. The Medicare Special Needs plans are a type of Medicare Advantage plan and are designed specifically for people with certain health conditions or who are dual eligible for Medicare and Medicaid. And actually, one of the strongest examples of how Medicare Advantage works well. As of February 2026, more than 8 million people were enrolled in SNP or Special Needs plans, accounting for 83% of total Medicare Advantage enrollment growth the previous year. They're really marketing those special needs plans. I don't know what the advantage is, because if you have Medicare plus a Medicare supplement, you can put together your own team of doctors that will operate on your special need very effectively. And so number 2, of the three things that would indicate that Medicare Advantage is not for you. Number two is you plan to split your time between different zip codes or you travel frequently. Because Medicare Advantage plans limit enrollees to specific provider networks, they are cautioned that people who travel a lot may run into problems. While most plans will cover you out of state for a medical emergency, seeking care at special facilities in another state can become a real problem because of Medicare Advantage provider networks. So if you're someone who travels frequently or simply wants the option to seek specialty care anywhere in the country, Medicare Advantage may not be the best fit. Snowbirds or retirees with providers in two locations may find it difficult to use a Medicare Advantage plan. And finally, the third reason that Medicare Advantage plans may not be for you, you don't have the patience for constantly changing rules and providers. Another problem with Medicare Advantage plans, the rules are not set in stone, and that could make managing care cumbersome. I think the main reason Medicare Advantage may not be a good fit for someone is if they're not comfortable keeping up with the rule book that comes with these plans. Whenever we conduct a needs analysis with a client, we ensure that they understand exactly how Medicare Advantage works. For example, I ask them, are you okay knowing that your current medical providers who are in the network today may not be in the network in the future? Are you okay with having to switch doctors if your insurance company is no longer contracted with your medical provider? This agent said that if you live in a smaller town and don't travel often, Medicare Advantage may be a more suitable option. However, he says that for those who want freedom, flexibility, and fewer surprises, original Medicare with a supplement is a better, less confining choice. Medicare Advantage is wrong for some people, but right for others. If you're in the latter camp, it's important to know how to choose the right one. To that end, the key is not to get hung up on premium costs. The first thing I'd do is verify that your doctor and specialists, if any, and hospitals and preferred pharmacies all participate in that plan's network. Next, Robert says that what you should do is make sure every prescription you take is covered by the plan's formulary. Well, this is the service that we provide when you come to Medicare plus a Medicare supplement plus a prescription drug plan. We make sure that all drugs that you take are covered by your formulary and that they're available at the pharmacies that you prefer to patronize. You should estimate the cost of major medical events. Understanding what you could owe if you need surgery, chemotherapy, or frequent specialist care is very important. Finally, don't let extra benefits be the driving factor. They can seem tempting, but you may not end up needing or using all of them. I always tell people to choose the plan that gives them confidence that they'll have access to the care they need at a cost that they can comfortably afford. That's what one agent says to her clients that say they want Medicare Advantage plans. What does Medicare not cover? Oh, let's go at it backwards. What does Medicare not cover? Here are 8 things that you should know. Both Medicare Part A and Part B leave gaps in your healthcare coverage, but Medicare Advantage also has problems. Ooh, maybe I should save this for Medicare Advantage in the future. Medicare Advantage Minute. How to appeal IRMA. Well, I got a lot of articles here. What else do I have? Medicare Basics, 12 things you need to know. How Medigap is affected by pre-existing conditions. 12 FAQs about Medicare, your Medicare questions answered. Original Medicare versus Medicare Advantage quiz, which is right for you. I'm going to save that for Randy. Randy and I can take that quiz. A high deductible Medigap Plan G. This is my favorite thing to talk about with my new clients. A high deductible Medigap or Medicare Supplement Plan G lowers premiums for healthy retirees who rarely need care. This is the plan that I show everybody when people ask me for a quote or what would you like to become my Medicare agent? Yes, I would. All right. So I would like to know what it's going to cost me and what you think I should do. Well, the first thing I do is give them a little short questionnaire that asks for their date of birth, whether they smoke, whether they vape, whether they have a roomie or a spouse, and just a few questions like that. I need to know their zip code, the county they live in. Boy, that's been a problem. Randy has found a solution to that. Put a disclaimer on there, like, you're too stupid to fill out this form if you don't know what the word county is instead of the word country. We had a lot of people putting USA in the county blank on this form. So anyway, then I show them the cost of the two plans, the two Medicare supplement plans that I recommend for everybody. One is a very rich plan that covers just about everything. One is a very, very cost-effective plan that has a deductible. And as the rich plan gets more expensive, the high deductible plan maintains its original cost a little bit better. And pretty soon, the two become one. And it turns out that the high deductible plan is the best choice from the get-go for most people, because as time goes on, that deductible that it has becomes less and less and less of a problem. So the headline again is a high deductible Medigap Plan G lowers premiums for healthy retirees who rarely need care. Retirees on a major, and I'm so glad they're not using the term seniors. Retirees on original Medicare who stay relatively healthy and rarely visit a doctor face straightforward trade-offs when shopping for supplemental coverage. Pay higher monthly premiums for a standard Plan G that covers nearly all out-of-pocket costs from day one, or accept a lower premium by choosing the high deductible version and covering initial expenses themselves. The gap between those two premium levels can be significant, and the choice matters most for enrollees whose annual claims stay well below the deductible threshold, which is set each year by the government. Rising deductibles sharpen the premium gap for low-use enrollees. The government publishes annual deductible figures for the high deductible Medigap plans F, G, and J, although its deductible updates giving enrollees and insurers the exact dollar amount that must be met before that policy begins paying. Because insurers pay price high deductible plan G premiums around the expectation that most policyholders will absorb routine costs themselves, those premiums run far lower than standard plan G rates. Healthy retirees who generate few claims in a given year effectively pocket the difference between the two premiums while paying little or nothing towards the deductible. The calculus shifts, however, when the annual deductible climbs faster than general inflation. In years when the government raises the threshold by a larger than usual amount, the maximum out-of-pocket exposure for high deductible enrollees grows. That widening gap between premium savings and potential liability creates a self-sorting effect. Retirees confident in their health gravitate towards the high deductible option, while those anticipating regular care stick with the standard coverage, which would be the more expensive Plan G. Over time, this can further concentrate lower risk individuals in high deductible plans, reinforcing the premium difference between the two versions of Plan G. Federal data on cost sharing and utilization patterns. The government fact sheet on 2026 cost sharing for Medicare Parts A and B establishes the baseline structure that original Medicare leaves uncovered. These gaps, including the Part A inpatient deductible and the 20% Part B coinsurance, are exactly what Medigap policies are designed to hit or to fill. A high deductible Plan G covers the same benefit as its standard counterpart once the enrollee meets the annual threshold. But the enrollee bears all of those medical costs up to that point, subject to any limits defined in the policy. Well, that's not exactly accurate. The enrollee only meets the 20% that Medicare doesn't pay, because after Medicare has paid the Part B, or after the insured person has paid the Part B annual deductible, which is $283, Medicare kicks in 80% of all of your outpatient coverage. And after the Part A deductible, which is a little bit higher, Medicare Part A pays 100% of all of your hospital bills, your inpatient bills, for 60 days. So I will tell you right now that this article is inaccurate in that it is a brighter picture than it's describing. The risk that one takes with a high deductible Plan G is very, very negligible. Now, separately, the government found that supplemental coverage, including Medicare supplements, is associated with higher estimated Medicare spending and utilization, reflecting the classic first dollar coverage effect when beneficiaries face little or no cost at the point of service. They tend to use more care. High deductible designs work against that dynamic by reintroducing cost sensitivity for routine services. Enrollees who already use few services see little change in their behavior, but benefit from the reduced premium, while those with higher expected utilization may prefer the predictability of a standard Plan G, even though it has a much higher monthly cost. So how insurers translate risk into premiums? Insurers set Medicare premiums, Medicare supplement premiums, using rating methods that account for expected claims, administrative expenses, and profit margins as outlined in Medicare's discussion of Medigap policy pricing. With a high deductible Plan G, the carrier's exposure to small and moderate claims is limited until the enrollee reaches the deductible. So projected payouts are lower. That allows the insurer to charge substantially less per month while still meeting its financial targets. Standard Plan G premiums, by contrast, must reflect the fact that the insurer begins paying as soon as the Medicare's portion is determined, often from the first covered visit of the year. Rating rules also influence how attractive the high deductible options appear over time. In community-rated markets where everyone pays the same premium regardless of age, the relative discount for the high deductible version may be especially meaningful for younger retirees just entering Medicare. In issue age or attained age markets where premiums vary with age, at purchases or current age, the savings can still be substantial but may narrow as policyholders grow older and overall costs rise. Regardless of the rating method, the premium gap represents the core financial incentive for low-use enrollees to accept more upfront risk. So weighing the trade-offs for healthy retirees, for retirees who rarely see a doctor, the decision often comes down to a comparison between the annual premium savings and the possibility of an unexpectedly high cost year. If the difference in premium between standard and high deductible Plan G is consistently less than the deductible amount, a risk-averse enrollee might favor the standard plan for a greater predictability. But when the premium gap approaches or exceeds the deductible, healthy beneficiaries may conclude that they are effectively prepaying for coverage they are unlikely to use and instead opt for the high deductible plan. That choice is not static. As the government adjusts its deductibles and as individual health status changes, the balance between the upfront savings and the potential out-of-pocket exposure can shift. Retirees who initially select high deductible Plan G during a period of excellent health may later decide that a standard Plan G better fits their needs if they develop chronic conditions or anticipate more frequent care. Understanding how rising deductibles, utilization patterns, and insurer pricing interact helps beneficiaries make more informed decisions about which version of Plan G aligns with their tolerance for risk and their expectations about future medical use. All right, I'm going to say that besides that other element in this article I corrected, I'm going to change what they have to say about people starting out with high deductible Plan G and then going to Plan G as they develop medical problems. When time goes by, the Plan G premium increases are going to be larger and they're going to be more frequent. The high deductible plan premium increases are going to be smaller, and they are very possibly less frequent. Therefore, Plan G keeps getting more and more expensive faster than high deductible Plan G. That means the gap between the two, the cost advantage that high deductible Plan G has, keeps increasing as the years go by. Now, in some states like Florida and New York, it starts out from day one that the gap, that the high deductible plan is so much less expensive that it makes only the best possible sense to go with that plan from the beginning, because you're saving more than the dollars that you would risk in a worst case scenario. However, in other places, the difference in cost is, reasonable, but not outrageous. So you might be saving $100 a month. Well, that number will grow over time because the Plan G rate increases will grow faster, and the high deductible Plan G rate increases will grow slowly and to a lesser extent. And so it takes longer to get to the point at which the profit shows dramatically. So what I do when I do a quote for somebody is I compare the best case scenario and the worst case scenario if they were to go with Plan G versus high deductible Plan G right now. And then they know that it is only going to get to be a better picture. And almost every one of my clients can see very clearly that high deductible Plan G is the best choice for almost everyone. And with that, I'm going to turn things back over to Randy, because I've been talking much longer than I originally was scheduled to do.
Well, I found it all very interesting. So I am going to have to close the shop down. So everybody grab your pen. dbj@mlmmailbag.com. That's the email address you can use to reach out to Doug. dbj@mlmmailbag.com. Doug is licensed in every state of the union to help you with your Medicare supplement planning. Medicareforthelazyman.com. That's the mothership on the web. I think there's a lot of cool stuff there if you want to stop and visit. Amazon.com. Stop over there and give Doug some reviews on his writing. We're still trying to, stay ahead of the travelogue people, and so far so good, but help us out. We'd really appreciate it. Subscribe to our podcast, and you can see just exactly when they're going to drop, so you have no doubt when you need to pull up to your television or your computer with your popcorn. And last but certainly not least, thank you for joining us. You could have been anywhere else, and you weren't. You were with us listening to Medicare for the Lazy Man podcast with Doug Jones. And you probably don't know it, but you have just spent about 32 and a half minutes with Doug listening to the podcast. Doug, the guy that was originally from Oklahoma, no more. He's up in the he's going to be up in the high ground behind Cave Creek. Right now, he's in Pugsleyville. And for your excitement for next episode, I'm going to give you the historic description of where Pugsleyville came from.
Oh, boy, I bet that's going to keep them listening. That's going to keep them coming back for more.
Oh, it's really exciting. I think you'll like it. But for right now, I'm going to turn it back over to Doug so he can say any final words he'd like to say.
Well, I've got plenty of words, but as we know, I've used a lot of them today, so I'm just going to leave everybody alone. But I hope you'll come back and join us for our next episode recording session, which won't be very long from now. So come on back and join us again. You hear? Bye-bye.